In his wrath and bitterness, Sir Constant did not wait for his foes, but fell upon them mightily, so that he won his way to better ground. But soon they recovered and drew together, wolf and leopard, and the dread emblem of the dungeon hold, and so closely did they press him that it seemed as though the dark wood had rendered up its very beasts to tear him down. Anon they fell back before him, but only to come again with hungry teeth and angry claws. Fiercely he struck at them, stoutly he upheld the guard of strong shield and swinging blade, longing for the vision of the face, but knowing well that no thing of beauty could seek him in these foul depths. Only grim and evil things were there, stealing silently out of the thickets, waiting for the moment when he should be struck to earth. Now they pressed him back from his place of vantage, for such was the weight of the two mailed knights that they began to bear him down. At last he saw through the mists of despair that the leopard was close upon him, while the wolf sought an opening to strike him from behind. To keep guard before and behind was too great a task, for he was now so spent that he could not move swiftly. But as the leopard seemed to spring, there came a sudden thought of that which was foe to this evil beast, the clean heart that knows no foul and unmanly bitterness, but rejoices in the sun and air of heaven. But I had enmity to it, he groaned, and thus I came to this pass, lost in a maze of evil things. But at that dread moment it seemed to him that he heard a faint and distant call, and lo, far along the gloomy wood, a sudden light, the flash of a shining shield. And the fainting knight gave a great cry, as it were with his last strength, "To me! To me! In the king's name, to me!" The Black Knight, startled, paused in his onset, yet only for a moment. "Someone comes!" he cried fiercely. "Let us make an end!" So they ran upon him together, and in a moment brought him to his knees. Again they rushed upon him, beating down furiously the swaying shield and wavering blade, aiming cruel blows against the drooping helm. But even as they laid him low, a great cry rang through the glade, "In the king's name!" And the stalwart knights of the Splendid Way burst upon them with clashing shields and flashing swords. In a breath the attackers were sent reeling back, and the prostrate knight was covered by the strong weapons of his comrades. Then it seemed that at the glory of the face of Sir Felix, the evil spirits of the wood shrank back to their lair in deadly fear, and the knight of the clean heart raised Sir Constant to his feet, and gave him back his fallen sword. "Hearken, comrade!" he cried mightily. "This is thy battle, and the glorious end shall be thine. Strike hard and conquer. As for us, we stand by to guard against a coward blow." At that call Sir Constant recovered himself, for it was as wine to the heart. He saw on one side the aged and gallant Sir Valorous, who was cousin to Sir Fortus, and whose story spoke clearly of the great hopes of those who looked to find him worthy of their gallant fellowship. On the other side stood Sir Felix, with the clean name and the clean heart of his own longing, such a knight as he would have loved to be, but could never be for the foes that ambushed him so easily, and the feet that so quickly turned aside from the Splendid Way. Yet even in his shame these stood by him, his cause their own, so his heart bounded and his arm was nerved, and the light came back to his eyes. In a moment he forgot his wounds and renewed the battle fiercely. But the false knights of the wood were dumbfounded and aghast, for they had no mind to fight when there was no hope of a coward's stroke. So in a little space the knight of the wolf was down, his strong sword broken, and himself bleeding to death. And the grey knight and the black knight were striving to escape together by the gate that led into the courtyard of their hold. But there he fell upon them, and with one mighty stroke clove the grey knight through the helm, and brought him clanging to death, at the very threshold of the gate. One great stroke he gave also to the Black Knight, so that the sword fell from his broken arm, and he groaned with pain and baffled rage. But ere another blow might be given, he passed within the gate and shut it fast. Then its bars were between, and the servants of the house, seeing his sore need, ran out and bore him in, and shut fast the frowning door of the castle. "Once again has this sorcerer knight escaped thee," said Sir Valorous, "but this time so sorely wounded that he will not lightly seek another battle. Moreover, these powerful brothers of his are dead, and can join him in no further snares. But this wood is an evil place, a place of dire enchantment, hiding all manner of deadly things. Let us back to the road." "Aye," said Sir Felix, These are dread foes of whom I have heard, though I have been spared the battle with them. The knight of the Red Wolf must be that guileful champion Sir Malus, and the Grey Knight his more puissant brother, the lord of the house of Hate. Ill goes it with any knight whom they lure to this place, for there is no dungeon so dark and hopeless as his. That false squire is surely Master Envy, commonly called the Whisperer, and they are all of the brood of the Black Knight, whose crouching leopard is the true emblem of those evil powers that are under his rule. It is well indeed that we go back to the road. But when Sir Constant heard this, and knew the nature of the foes to whom he had lent his faith, what with his shame and the pain of his wounds, he sank swooning to the ground. Tenderly they knelt beside him, and unlaced his helm, and unbraced his dented shield, and removed his gauntlets, that they might chafe his bruised and bleeding hands. Nevertheless he could not face them, and the tears of sorrow were upon his cheek. "Alas, that I should have come to this," he sighed, "and that any friend should find me in such foulness. I am not worthy to bear the king's arms, or to walk in the splendid way." But Sir Valorous spoke strongly, while the light of love and pity filled his eyes. "Where should we fear to follow, my brother?" he said. "Know you not what the Lord of the Vision of the Face did? How he went down into the very pit of slime and shame, so that the foul things of the wood came upon him, and had their will with him, and locked him in a sinner's tomb? Nay, I tell thee, that it was by his will that we sought thee here, and it is in my heart that he, even he, came hither with us. For our way through the perilous wood was strangely lighted, as though one passed before us to be our guide." Then Sir Constant looked up and saw a wondrous thing, for the aged knight had removed his helm, so that his white locks made a halo about his head. The compassion in his eyes was a light as of stars, and behind was the gloom of the unsunned wood. So for a moment it seemed that it was not the face of Sir Valorous, but that other face, the face of the vision. Nevertheless it was Sir Valorous that he saw, worn with age and stained with the dust of the road. Then said Sir Felix of the Clean Heart, his voice full of wonder, "What is this shame that he speaks of? Is there shame in a battle fought so well in face of mighty odds? I tell thee, Sir Constant, comrade beloved, that though I have great honour from the king, never had I the sore trial of such battle as thine." "Nay," said Sir Valorous out of the wisdom of his years, "his battle is not thy battle, and thy place is not his place. For him the snares and conflicts of the wayside, the whisperer and the plotter, and the ever-present terror of the black beast. For thee the clean heart and its glory, but also the awful cares of the governance of a city, with many eyes upon thee daily. Nor shall each wonder at the other, or desire the other's place, but do his own part faithfully and well, waiting the king's good time. Only each shall aid the other as the need arises. And I trow that at the end of the way all shall stand before the king together, with the same light upon all and the same joy from his smile. Then it shall not be asked whether he had a city to govern, or fought with beasts in a wood, but whether he was a faithful knight, who ever sought to keep undimmed the vision of the face." Then he took from his breast the vial of noble amicus, and bade Sir Constant drink, and when he drank his pain was assuaged, and his heart comforted. For the vial held the oil of comfort, and the cordial of good courage. When he was thus restored, they aided him through the woods again, leaving behind that frowning hold and those stricken foes. There were noisome creatures in the wood, foul spirits who obeyed the rule of the Black Knight. But though their presence was perceived, none dared those shining shields and ready blades. At last they came to the road, when Sir Felix hastened to the hall of the Glowing Heart, and brought the servants of Amicus to aid. So in a while they had the wounded knight again in that good friend's care, where he lay until his wounds were healed. For in the gardens of that place are the trees with the leaves of healing, and those precious herbs from which they distill the oil of comfort and the cordial of good courage.